welcome back. This is Newsfile, the most authoritative news analysis show. I'm Samson Ladianyan, your host, and I understand that we had a few problems with radio earlier, so apologies to you. And for those of you who joined us by radio, I'm supposed to repeat to you the topics that we are dealing with. The major topics we are dealing with this morning have to do with the Strate's verdict upon its preliminary investigations into the Ford saga. Strate says the president violated the policy on gifts but did no wrong, did not break any law. Now, former Commissioner Emil Schott says this conclusion is problematic. The president's lawyer, Tony Litter, is convinced justice has been served. We ask, is that the end of the story? So these are the issues that we are looking at, the major ones that we are looking at. Preliminarily, we would briefly look at the matters arising as regards the arrest and detention of FADI and also KMA's inability to appoint or elect a presiding officer. All right, so now, by way of my take, I've titled my take, "No Phone While Driving. Risk Life, Pay a Fine, Go to Jail." It's difficult, I admit, but it's the way to avoid accidents and reduce the carnage on our roads. I shared that very sad story or video about the young lady whose parents were killed because a driver was on the phone last week. She nearly died too. She spent months in hospital and rehab, but isn't the person she wanted any longer because she is having to relearn how to talk, walk, and do things for herself. A distracted driver on the phone killed her parents, got her partially paralyzed. Yes, it is a crime to seek to take your own life. It is also a crime to risk your life and those of others by holding, using, or operating any handheld communication device in one or both hands while driving your car. That's according to Section Regulation 107 of the Road Traffic Regulations 2012. Just as it is an offense to drive without wearing your seat belt, you could be compelled to waste precious time in court, get that damaging criminal conviction record, forced to pay 600 cedis or go to jail for 3 months in addition for endangering your own life and others, using your phone, your iPad, etc. while driving. It is not an offense, though, if you can't pull up before calling police, fire ambulance, or other emergency services. That call, that text, that WhatsApp, I say certainly can wait. Don't drive and use your phone. It can kill. That's by way of my take. Now, let's get to the issues that we have tabled for discussion. And I have just one of my guests in the studio now. I've seen that Kokubako's documents are in, so he should also be getting ready, and then also one other person getting ready to join us. But right here before me, okay, so let me just start by actually going over the issues that we're going to discuss. So if you have any inputs, make them. Send us your questions, particularly questions, and what your take is, so how you perceive some of the issues that we are going to discuss. Any of your comments, they are welcome to 1422. 1422. You can also send them to 1760, and we will share them with the rest of the world. We are live on DSTV channel 421, DSTV channel 421, and this show is coming to you live from Multi-TV studios here in Kokomlemle, and is live on Joy FM, is live on over a dozen affiliate stations across the country. On the World Wide Web, you are listening to us. You may be listening to us either on myjoyonline.com or multi-TV/streams. And thanks for joining us. Also, later, subsequently, you can watch this show on your ABN television, Sky Channel 236. That is, if you are watching us in London or elsewhere in Europe. Thank you very much. Now, the major issue we are looking at this morning has to do with the Ford gift and the verdict of Shraj. And then we'll also look at the matters arising as far as the elections are concerned and the filing of nominations by parliamentarians, would-be parliamentarians, and would-be presidents are concerned. Thankfully, let me just introduce Dr. Eric Odro Osai. He's political economist and governance expert. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the show. Also is George Lowe, who is a member of parliament and also is the deputy chair of an important committee of parliament that has to do with laws that are made through the House. Of course, that's the job of the House. He's the vice chairman, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Thank you very much, George, for coming. Right. Just been joined also by Abdul Malik Kweku Bako. He's editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. His documents have been here for a while. Nana Kumia also taking his seat. Good morning. And
morning,
welcome. Nana
Samson.
Kumia is the communications director of the New Patriotic Party. So we are ready, you to get ready. And when you type your messages, I'd like to caution, when you type a message you are sending, when you type a question you are sending it in, make sure you read over it. Read over the question, read over the text message. It's very important. When you do so, you'd find that sometimes you've got some errors that you need to correct in those messages. Now, before we go into the two very critical issues that we have to discuss, let's see if you can take some 2 minutes each to comment on these two matters about the KMA inability, to pick a presiding member, and that's been going on for a long time. And as we understand, it's affecting the entire process of governance in the metropolis of Kumasi. And also, we are talking about FADI, who was arrested and detained and later freed. Well, he was excited, he was freed. He spoke very nicely about the BNI and how they go about their operations. So let me start here. A Lebanese Ghanaian who was picked up by officials of the BNI last Friday for allegedly publishing false and defamatory stories about President John Mahama on the internet. He was later granted bail. His name is FADI Sami Daboussie. I'm not sure if I got that name right. He may not forgive me because I have a copy of his book autographed and sent to me by himself very much earlier, sometime last year. He was granted bail, and we are told that there were processes towards seeking to charge him, but that didn't really happen. He had two lawyers having reported to have represented him at the BNI. First, Hassan Tampuli, who went to the BNI and reported that he went there, he was denied access to see him. And then we're also told by that one lawyer, Mawena Agbenoto, also had been there and dealt with the matters that had happened. Now, asked about the charges on which he had been held, his lawyers had told us that, from as far as they are aware, no charges had been preferred against him at the end of the day, except that he was said to have published very insulting comments about the president and subsequently released. Now, I'd like to start with Nana on that. We're told that FADI, who is supposed to be a pilot, who is supposed to be a journalist, is also a sympathizer of the NPP and has been serially making comments that are very disparaging of the presidency and comments that are false at that. So one of those comments led to his arrest and detention and subsequently being freed.
Well, thank you, Samson, and let me wish our audience a good Saturday morning, and also my colleagues. You would have to forgive my voice. Is not the best, since it hasn't been the best since yesterday. Now, this gentleman, the Ghanaian Lebanese writer, FADI, I have read some of his writings. I don't know if he's an NPP activist. There are many people who are not happy with the way the country has been governed today, and they may not necessarily be NPP. Indeed, there are other political parties. There's the CPP, there's the all the other political parties. So it's very clear that it's not everybody who doesn't agree with the way things are being done. That person may not necessarily be NPP. So I don't know. But I've read some of his writings. He's been accused of writing a story about some affair that the president is supposed to have had. And he was pulled by the BNI.
That the president impregnated Otumfuo's daughter, Otumfuo Santihine's daughter.
Okay. Well, yeah. So he's supposed to have written some story about the president, and that involves sex and all of that. But you see, something, this country seems to be going back as far as human rights and the libertarian profile of our constitution, the liberal constitutional regime that we are engaged in now. This country seems to be going back in the last couple of years. The BNI itself has been a major factor in this development. In the last couple of years, months and so on, the whole country has been alarmed at the way BNI had picked people, Ghanaians up, and the way they've been treated. Many times, the BNI breaches the laws of Ghana, even if those detentions were to have any merit.
Can we keep the comments and discussions directly to the issue?
Yes, this is to the issue. If the detentions were to have any merit, the BNI breaks the law, keeping people beyond 48 hours and so on. Now, in the case of FADI, he's been pulled in by the BNI and detained because he has written something about the president that the BNI believes is questionable. But you see, we've been in this country. That's what I was telling you about, how we are going back as far as our freedoms are concerned, as far as the liberal democratic regime that we are practicing is concerned. We have been a period in this country where the sitting president was accused of having impregnated some foreign woman and having had twins. And you had the NDC as a political party going on and on and on, organizing press conferences on this matter about the sitting president having impregnated some foreign partner, foreign woman, and having had twins. It went on for months.
But you know, the comments that for which he was arrested and detained, as far as we know, were not limited to just that. They included rather very criminal imputations on the president, including the death of the former president.
I'm saying to you, Samson, that these kinds of accusations and writings have happened in this country. People were not detained by the BNI. That's what I'm saying. You can call people in and question them to see if there's any basis to the writings. But when we are going to use detention by BNI, not even the Ghana Police Service, BNI.
BNI has powers of police.
Now, Samson, there was a time in this country when the sitting president was accused of having transferred the gold reserves of this country into a private offshore account. That has criminal implications. That has severe criminal implications, that the president of the country can transfer the gold reserves of this country into a private offshore account. Those accusations were made
against President Kufuor. That's what you're saying.
Nobody,
were you happy about them? Were they right?
No, I'm saying that the point is that nobody was detained by the BNI because they had made that accusation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if
but you're not saying wrong should continue.
No,
because
if Mr. Daboussie,
it's been allowed before.
No, if Mr. Daboussie had written something that the BNI found didn't have any merit. Call him. Do you need to detain citizens of this country because they have written something that you don't agree with?
Okay, thank you. But he says that he was treated very well. The BNI people are a bunch of very nice, guys. What do you say to that? He's not as concerned as you are.
No, I'm concerned about myself. And I'm concerned about you, because tomorrow it could be you.
Okay.
And especially those of you who do media work. And tomorrow you may not be treated that well.
Okay.
You understand? So it's not the treat, it's the principle of hauling citizens into detention because they've made a comment that somebody. I'm saying if you're going to go by that, you are rolling back our democracy.
Okay.
And
Thank you
freedoms.
very much. George, what do you have to say? His major concern is about the detention. And we understand that detention was over the permitted 48 hours. But I've heard others who suggest that it was not up to the 48 hours. So they were within their right to have held him for that period and gone into the interrogations that they had to do with him.
Well, thank you, Samson. Good morning, and good morning to our cherished viewers and my colleagues on the panel. These days in Ghana, there's something they say, Happy New Month. I don't know if you also received those.
I have.
Yes, and I find it very interesting. But, well, it only means that we are getting more sophisticated by the day. I am amazed sometimes when I hear how much we descend on our national security agencies, as though they are not a product of our system. Something all over the world, national securities have their own operational guidelines, and that depending on what they think is serious or injurious to national security, they act. Nana Akosua has given us a plethora of reasons why he doesn't like what has happened. But clearly, he hasn't said anywhere that the national security apparatus, or the BNI for that matter, has erred. And you are right. I mean, I have also done my investigation. They didn't even keep him beyond the statutory 48 hours. They allowed him to have access to a lawyer. The only church, I understand that 2 different lawyers went there. And, once one had access, they didn't believe that the other one was also coming. But he had access to a lawyer. He himself has come out to say that I wasn't ill-treated. Anybody who is invited, and you see, let's put this in context. When you are, what is the whole essence of detention? You are kept there and questioned. And until they are satisfied with their questioning, if the 48 hours doesn't elapse, they have a right to keep you till they are satisfied that you've given them the answers that they are looking for, or that you have convinced them either negatively or positively that either I did what you are saying I did, or I did not intend to do it, or I did not do it. We haven't had anything to say or to point to the fact that they went out of their remit as BNI in this matter. So I don't see why people are shouting. Nana Akosua is talking about the country going back. He never gave even one example. In this country, when a presidential convoy was passing, and a mechanic standing by the roadside said, "Hey, what a long convoy," he was invited. In this country, somebody was alleged to have said, a former minister was alleged to have said that, "Hey, our plan is working." He was invited and kept in a mosquito-infested BNI cells. But we've made progress. People have been invited. And I do not believe by any stretch of imagination that in contemporary or in recent times, we have had a situation where the BNI has acted in a way that would even have to go to the Human Rights Court and to talk about people's living.
You've given very bad examples.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't get it. Why you want to use bad examples?
No, I am saying that. You see, we are talking about our national security, and Nana Akosua said in recent times. So he's positing it within a certain political. I'm saying that he has no moral right, because even when he is government and of which he was a minister, the things that the BNI did, to my mind, was even worse. But we've moved on. It means that we are refining our security system. And we should rather be applauding ourselves that when people go to the BNI now, BNI is even conscious of the fact that we cannot keep him beyond a certain statutory number of hours. You understand? And that from what the people themselves are saying, they have not been. I mean, Samens went to BNI. He didn't come back to say anything untoward. He said, well, he had a healthy engagement with them. Most people who have been to BNI now have never come out to say we were tortured, we were forced to make admissions and things like that. So what are we talking about? Are we saying that our national security should not act where they feel strongly that something is injurious to our national security?
But the wrong goes on there anyway. You speak about the fact that they have their own operational guidelines.
Yes.
But those operational guidelines must conform to what the
Constitution
Constitution
I am saying that nobody
requires.
has gone there and come back to say that they have violated that.
Nobody.
Give me an example in recent times where somebody said, I went to BNI and I was tortured. I'm sure Kweku, the stories Kweku Baku will tell you, it will differ from what people are telling you today. All I'm saying that we've made tremendous progress. Okay. And we must just keep up getting better. It is not enough to sit down and just chastise the BNI because they've invited somebody to come for questioning.
All right.
I believe that this friend of ours has been there. Others have been there. Tomorrow, others will go there.
Right.
What we need to do as citizens and government is to ensure that anybody who goes to BNI gets a fair treatment. But we cannot stop national security.
What do you say to those who say the comments he made that were said to be insulting, that had criminal imputations and all, they don't really require the BNI to step in?
But we cannot decide for the BNI to pick and choose.
No, you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer.
I am saying that to the extent that they are satisfied, you go there, you are interrogated. Right? And mind you, they are a national security agency.
Right.
There are even additional information that they may have that is not available to the public.
Let's deal with what we know.
But I'm saying that what we know is what they have put out. But there may be even other leads that they are following that they haven't told us. Okay. And I'm saying that an invitation to the police station, an invitation to the BNI is nothing out of the ordinary. What is important is when you go there, are you fairly treated? Okay. Are you given the opportunity to explain yourself? Or you are callously thrown in jail and tortured?
Thank you.
If they are not doing that, they are within their remit. Thank
you. Let's hear from Kweku.
Well. I'm not sure it would be in the interest of this program, especially when you are restricting us to preliminary remarks, which I know is within a limited context, to give examples of past violations and to actually determine which was bad and which was worse. I'm telling you. And if we were to do so, I can confidently say that the NDC would lose the battle. But I would not be tempted to go in that direction. It's something weird, and I want explanation. Maybe you can explain. Why do we say Lebanese Ghanaian? Why do we say, is he a Ghanaian?
So why?
No, but you introduced.
I avoided the temptation.
Because you introduced.
No, I was reading from a script. Yes, from
okay.
The news reports.
Yeah, I found that a bit of problematic. We never said Mr. Rawlings was a Scottish Ghanaian. And I have my family, people who have that dual thing. Okay. In my own family, including my children, you know, so we have to be very careful about that. Then, look, no doubt about it, the stories put out there by the gentleman who I've met about twice, so I would say he's an acquaintance. I think if you want to be honest, were seriously, hugely offensive. And I believe even in the face of analysis, investigation, scrutiny, false. Those particular stories. We are not talking here of his book, I'm told.
Right.
I had to give people some explanations with that Otunfo thing. My own checks showed that was completely useless story. And some of those things are put on the internet through some websites these days. There are mushroom of them.
That was his story. His story was that, look, I didn't manufacture this. They are already out there in the news, and I just repeated them.
I think this experience will tell him to be careful. They come, many, sometimes the Dispatch, the Daily Dispatch, the Heritage, the New Free Press, the so-and-so, Accra Post. Some of them are non-existent. Then there are websites, GhanaPoliticsOnline.com, GhanaOrbitOnline.com. Then there's a weeklyguidegh.com. They are all fake websites, and they put out all sorts of things, and people believe it. If you go on WhatsApp and the rest, they've put it out there, they believe it, and they circulate those things. And that's why I've become a bit, even though I love social media, love Facebook, I become extremely skeptical. And I wait, double check before I will proceed to believe in some of those things. It's a disaster. I'm a victim myself. Many of us are victims. So we've got to be very careful. Having said that, under which legal regime was the gentleman busted? If I read the stories, the research material you gave us, and if you go into the graphic, it says, asked about the charges on which Daboussie had been held. The source said, quote, "We are still interrogating him and will decide whether or not to charge him after investigations." It means there was that possibility of a charge. Within which context, legal regime, were they anticipating that they could level those charges? I don't know. You are a lawyer. Perhaps there's something out there that I'm unaware of in the absence of the criminal and libel, seditious libel regimes. Perhaps these days we better wake up. There's always something hidden, some residual things hidden somewhere. So was it that they were looking at? Because you see, there's no use arresting, detaining, whether 48 hours or not 48 hours, when indeed at the end of the day you wouldn't charge. Why attract those things onto yourself? I have a difficulty. I respect institutions of state, including the BNI. And I think that in growing our democracy, we should find room, space to support them in their critical duties. But there are certain actions and conduct that sometimes do not help. I decided we don't want to give examples. But look, recent one, the BNI's failure to respect court order, granting bail to the 3 South Africans, was classic of total disregard by a responsible institution of state to another. And indeed, even to the extent of violating the rights of those who had been granted a bail. So I think that we should be a bit cautious. They should hasten slowly. Some of these things, as much as the story was bad, and I will sit here and say false, I think sometimes official rebuttals, effective official rebuttals, can cure the mischief, and then we move on, so that you don't attract undue problems and challenges for institutions of state. That's my take on this matter.
Thank you. Yes, Doc.
Thank you very much. I think I want to agree with Kweku. Official rebuttals are very important. And what we need to understand is that crime is crime, irrespective of where you belong to. And we should also understand that the BNI acts on intelligence. And intelligence is evidence or data that has been properly analyzed to see the national security significance. The way they acted, I think if any of us were to be in their shoes, we were going to react or act in the same way. Because first you need to know what is happening, gather the evidence, analyze it, and see whether it is of national security significance, and then you act on it. But the bit I find curious is the communication and information flow aspect of the BNI's work. I'm very sure that if they had put some information out there, or if they have given feedback to the citizens, I'm sure all of us would have been at peace, would have understood where they are going. But in most cases, you keep citizens out of the picture. You don't communicate effectively to the people.
Yeah, but that's the BNI. That's how they operate.
No, but that should not be the case. You are working for us. The BNI is working for the good people of Ghana. And when you are working at a point in time where you think people don't understand what you are doing, the Ministry of Interior can come in and then issue a statement. And that is what the rebuttal. Yes.
Yes, they did.
You know, that's why I agree with Kweku that, look, in cases like this, give us information. Because if you don't give people information, they will speculate. And that is what has brought us where we are today. So I advise the BNI that, in as much as they will be on a very good course, they are doing their work required by the Securities and Intelligence Act. They should give out information. Once you give out information, it will resolve all these issues. I'm sure crime is crime, and I will not sit here to condone and support any criminal activities. But then, the right thing must be done. We are working on our behalf. Give us the information. Let us be at peace.
You spoke about calling him to do the investigations. I've had cause to even do my take on this attitude of our security operatives, where you are invited and you are the ones they are going to use to get information as to whether they prosecute or not. Is it not the other way around? You do your job to be sure about what you're doing before you even invite the person.
No, but I'm sure they invited you because they have some intelligence. And that is the bit of their work, the work they've done. They have the intelligence, they've invited you, and you would have to help them, prove or otherwise, of the intelligence they have. You know, so an invitation should not be treated as a conviction or a trial. You have been invited to assist, but the mode of invitation is also very important.
Right.
If you want to invite me to assist you, let it be clear. Let me come with my lawyers. Give me the opportunity to exercise my right. Don't send a signal as if I have already committed a crime, I've already been convicted. I am coming to assist you, and once I am the principal person, let me know, and I'll give you the information in an atmosphere of freedom. Okay. But where you think you call me and then there is some force behind it, you know, you force me to take a position, which is not good.
And like Kweku was asking me, if in the end you will not charge, why do you do it? But Kweku, like you asked that question directly to me, the Criminal Code or the Criminal Offences Act, you can find several portions that may be used, including what we suspected may have been, you know, a conduct that is conducive to breaching the peace. They could have looked at it in that direction. Nana, I see your hand is up, but this is what I want you to do in 30 seconds. Tell me what Kweku said. Kweku has concerns about the post that Daboussie puts up. You are familiar with them. Are you concerned yourself?
It is possible that the quotes may not be true. That's not really my concern. My concern.
No, have you followed him on social media?
No, I have read some of his writings.
Yes, and when you read them, how did you feel?
I have read one book that he wrote, 50 something. I've forgotten the title, but I read it. And then he's written a second book. I started reading it. I haven't finished. But I'm saying that even assuming that what he wrote is not correct, the resort by BNI to detaining him is a big step in rolling back the freedoms that Ghanaians enjoy.
Okay,
and
that point has been made. So let's not.
Let me just conclude.
Let's not repeat
Look,
them.
There was a time in this. I mean, my friend George Lou was going on. I remember when the security people harassed some women who were thought to have hooted at the then president. A statement was issued. An official statement was issued, and the women were asked to be free. I remember another mechanic in Kumasi, the same. Kusi or something. A statement was issued. Okay. So we have moved forward.
Right, I'm sorry, but we have to end it there. And I'll start on the KMA preliminary matters too with Kweku. Kweku, the 8th time the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has attempted to elect a presiding member, and they've not been able to do so. We understand that this is affecting the governance of the metropolis in a very, very bad way. And we understand there were even blows that occurred there. What do you see the situation there, and what should be done immediately to avoid? And for those of you watching the videos, you see some of the fights that went on outside of the KMA's assembly hall. Yes, Kweku, let's go.
Were the police there?
The police, they were there, but
So
we were told, okay, see the man beating the other one.
Yes, the police saw that.
We're told that the assembly members also have rights, immunity like MPs.
That's where I was going.
Whatever happens within their
No, I am not sure. I'm not sure their immunity will protect them from assault. I'm not too sure about that.
Right.
We have a member of parliament here. You may tell us if on the level of the legislature, they are protected to the extent that you can punch each other and get away with it. Unless the speaker says he didn't see it.
I understand one, the regional minister or one of them instructed the arrest of one of them. The person was arrested, but later on the guys appear to have resolved their own matter and it ended there.
Well, I've seen fights in the Indian and Japanese parliaments live, you know. But the point really is that this, I don't have all the details, but it's looking as if it is, you know, a reflection of the extent of partisanship, political partisanship. It's intrusion into that assembly thing. It appears that's the issue. And it's worrying because I'm one of those who has moved, you know, shifted gradually from the point that within the present constitutional structure, the way we have structured things, it may be difficult to elect our DCs on partisan levels unless we change the entire constitution, the architecture. No. But what they are doing is perhaps reinforcing the school of thought that we might as well then open up and make it look partisan, if indeed it's partisan. Why are we being hypocritical? Why are we pretending that that's not the situation? And that's unfortunate. You know, as I said, I don't have all the details, but it's worrying. It's a shame. It's a very important institution. Absolutely. Critical area of our local governance system. And they are unable to deal with a simple thing like, is it the election of presiding member?
That is so.
Amazing. It's an important position, I agree, because they have an oversight virtually over the executive, the chief executive. But there must be a reason. Partisan, yes, but I think there's also a certain pursuit of personal ambition. You know, they've exaggerated their personal ambitions and things. I don't know whether there's a constitutional cure, whether in the interim the president is empowered, because I've heard some other argument that it's even wrong. All presidents have done it, where regional ministers have been asked to act, you know. But I've heard a local government governance expert saying that is itself illegal. But the way things are going, if they cannot resolve it, then we might as well impose a certain state of emergency, quote unquote, on the particular jurisdiction and get the national executive to put an interim solution in place. I'm really at sea. It's a shame, really, that they cannot resolve this matter to the extent where they would go into exchanging blows. Let's turn that place into an emergency situation and impose an interim solution, a transitional arrangement that will enable, because see, we are looking at the larger interest of the community. I'm told sanitation and other matters are already getting bad. We cannot allow people's pursuit of partisan interest to affect development. You know, but truly, I'm a bit at sea with that particular situation. I don't understand it.
Okay. Now, let's hear what Dr. Drew has to say about that. And you just picked up your constitution. Definitely. And I have an interest in looking at this, your constitution. It must have suffered in your hands a lot. It
has suffered. As a lawyer, you can imagine what has happened to my constitution.
It has really suffered. And,
over the years.
And on the note of a suffered constitution at the hands of Dr. Odro, let me say congratulations to all of you who were called to the bar yesterday. Welcome to the real deal. Wish you the very best. Now, a message that's been sent to me from a line I have not dealt with before, but he introduces himself as FADI Daboussie himself, and he says that I was incarcerated for 65 hours incommunicado. Wow. So for 65 hours, he had no contact with his lawyers. That's what he's saying. And he says, I was freed without bail. I was abducted, Gestapo style. So,
but the substantive point there, if right. we take his thing on the face value, 65 hours goes beyond the...
This is somebody who has sent a message claiming to be somebody.
I have no reason to doubt that he's the one.
Yeah, but please, Samson,
yes,
I mean, this is a very important
Listen.
Yeah, I'm not sure Samson would have
I am reading it because I've done a basic verification. And that preliminary verification confirms that he's the one.
Yeah, but this is verifiable.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That
the time he was
he has
arrested at the airport.
Somebody has posted this thing. Maybe
it's not posted. Sent to me.
Yeah, I said it's sent to you, but check
directly.
Yes, because you sit here.
And it's easily verifiable.
Yes, so that is it. So that's why I'm saying that we just not take it on the face.
You see, it's a preliminary issue. Otherwise, you want me to call him on the show?
Well, I mean, you have your show.
Go ahead.
Why not? So that we hear
let's hear his voice.
But I think he can go to court if he feels it's right.
I mean, he has a remedy.
Let me say that the KMA issue. The KMA issue had to do with the position of a presiding member. The presiding member is like the board chairman of any committee, any board in any organization. The issue in KMA are two. The first one is about the strict constitutional requirement for the election of a presiding member. When you look at Article 244, Clause 2 of the Constitution, it requires two-thirds majority of the members present voting in favor of an individual to become a presiding member. Over the years, it has been a challenge in most district assemblies, and especially where we have 1/3 of the members appointed by government. You can realize that it rather makes the issue difficult to attain. So the Constitution Review Commission has established this, and they have made a recommendation that we should relax that rule and then use a simple majority to elect a presiding member. Secondly, KMA is operating without a mayor. I'm sure all of us are aware.
That's right.
And now we have a regional minister acting as the mayor. The mayorship position is the political position, but this position is the corporate governance position that requires a board chairman to be there to supervise the activity of a so-called acting chief executive. What I see happening in KMA is that there is a refusal on the part of the assembly members to agree on who takes what when it comes to positions. There are important key positions within KMA, and KMA is an important and big assembly in Ghana here. We have the position of the chief executive going to the politician, that the ruling party. Under normal circumstances, they were expecting that the position of presiding member would then go to the biggest or the largest opposition party. That has not been the case. If they are not getting that one, then they would expect that the other most important position, the chair of the Finance and Administration Committee, would go to them. So what this tells us is that on the ground, there is some level of politics in the local governance system, even though the law is saying that it should be non-partisan. What again is telling us as a country is that going forward, we have to review or amend our laws to reflect the situation on the ground. Because we cannot continue to deceive ourselves that a thing is non-partisan, yet on the ground it is partisan. To resolve this issue, and we have recommended it in most cases, that look, they should reach a compromise, they should agree on the power sharing, they should agree among themselves that, okay, 2-3 people will put themselves up for the position of a presiding member. The one that is able to secure 2/3 majority become the presiding member. The next person automatically become the Finance and Administration chairperson of the assembly. Okay. This, most of them are afraid of because they have agreed on it before and it has been reneged. So they now want it to be properly documented. Then it can be operationalized. But the lesson there is that going forward, how do we prevent this? And I must tell you, KMA is not the only assembly that has not elected a presiding member. I hear there is one assembly in the northern region that has not also been able to elect a presiding member because of this strict rule. So the question is, what are we doing? Are we prioritizing
There's even a consequence that they may not be able to have a budget to operate.
I'm coming there. The operations of the assembly requires that annually they have to prepare what we call a composite budget. That composite budget will have to be approved by the General Assembly with the presiding member sitting. Then the Assembly would carry it to the Minister for Finance, who would then add it to the national budget and present it to Parliament come November. As of now, KMA does not have a General Assembly with a presiding member. So the way things are going, they may not have their budget approved by the Assembly. And if you are not very careful, they may not have their budget included in the national budget. Now, if it is not included in the national budget, it is the average citizen or average person in Kumasi who suffers. So the earlier we resolve this issue, the better. But the question then is, do we allow all these people to hold us to ransom? There are clear provisions in the law. And let us ask ourselves, these assembly members, with the way they are behaving in the assembly, is that what the people who elected them asked them to do? Do they represent themselves or they represent the people? It is about time we activate the recall provisions in the Local Government Act in such a way that if you are elected assembly member, is not acting in the manner that you expected him to act to represent the electorate, you recall the assembly member. Okay. We also have government appointees there. If government sees that they are not acting in the manner that will be in the supreme interest of the people in Kumasi, they should recall them so that we get people who will represent us.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's hear, George, what do you say on this? Very briefly, if you can just finish this up and move on.
Well, I think that Dr. Sain has said a lot. And we are all worried, about the way our local governance system is operating. But let's face it, and I'm sure that Doc have done extensive research on that. You see, the way we started our local governance system, we started it with just this theory of popular participation at the back of our minds. We didn't consider so much the political interference that will come in. Unfortunately, we are now caught up in a situation where we are so politically polarized in this country that from every angle, things are looked at from a political view. Now, is it the politicization that will cure it or not? I am not convinced yet if that is the simple way to go. We have tried with this constitutional review to attempt a cure. Will it cure it really? I am not Sure. Maybe some of us will have to do some further work. But you see, I am confident that apart from all these structural things that we have spoken about, we must also accept that our politics is taking a nosedive, fueled by personal interest, fueled by greed, fueled by avarice, and all the other things that you can think about. Why do we even go assembly elections? We have the assembly members. Go and elect a presiding member. And this is done easily. One of those who want, you go after exam, go. But what is happening?
Obviously, it's not.
Yes, people. No, I am a former. Yes, I've been an assembly member, so I know what I'm talking about. It should have been an easy matter. But you see, where people are sharing envelopes overnight, where people are doing all sorts of things for a particular person because they believe that when I'm presiding member, I also have a say in contracts, and therefore, all these things. Until we take away those things, we will continue to have the problems like we have in the KM.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to hear from Nana shortly. But before I do that, good morning. Is that FADI on the line?
Yeah, good morning, Samson. It's FADI.
Yes. FADI, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you, sir.
Great. You sent a message saying that for 65 hours, you were detained in Communicado. Tell us, how exactly were you arrested and for exactly how long you were detained without access to your lawyers?
To me, it seemed like just a style. I was picked up at the airport, sent to the BNI office at the top, searched thoroughly, sent back home where my house was searched thoroughly as well. And, the regular stuff that was in the media was taken away. And I was locked up, yes, incommunicado for all this while. I was picked up at around 12:30, 1:45 in the afternoon Friday, and I was released at 10 in the evening, 10 at night on Sunday night, 10 o'clock.
But between that period, when did you have the opportunity to see your lawyer?
It was Sunday, somewhere around 5 in the evening.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you had given instructions about who exactly was your lawyer? Either it was Agbanato or it was Hassan Tampuli?
Samson, I wouldn't want to go there on this issue. Okay?
I'm asking because we have information that you had told the BNI that you didn't know one of them.
No. Hassan Tampuli is a very good friend of mine, but the name that they gave me was a name that I didn't know.
Okay.
Hassan is a very good friend of mine, and he was actually running around like crazy, to secure a release for me.
Okay, so you have described that the manner in which you were picked up and searched and everything was not the best, but you have also given interviews and praised the BNI in the manner in which they dealt with you.
Why would I want to go around telling people that I was beaten up, I was handcuffed, I was maltreated? I wasn't. They picked me up, yes. They brought me home, they took my stuff, yes. They sent me, they locked me up, yes. But to say that even when I went on a hunger strike, and they were extremely concerned. They were extremely concerned that I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking. They tried to pamper me into eating. I do not know what style of treatment that would be called, but then if it's not maybe concern for a prisoner of theirs, maybe they want to avoid the bad spotlight.
Okay,
but
so
then yes,
you were released without any bail matter.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, it does suggest that this matter will not be revisited. You two, do you end the matter there? They had to do what they had to do. Somebody told them to pick me up, you know, so they were acting on orders. I don't want to directly blame them. I see. And as far as you are concerned, what's it? You think that, okay, so end of the story. You are not taking anything anywhere. That's it.
I personally would not pursue it, but I want to thank my senior Abdul Malik Wakugaku for giving me that advice. I heard it, and he said everybody had fallen foul of wrong media, and I really appreciate his advice.
I see.
So I pick it up and I take it.
But your comments and publications over which you were arrested, what do you say about them? Do you regret that you put those things up there?
Well, given that there is false media out there, like Kwakubaku just said, it looks like everybody would have to do due diligence and maybe double check on information before putting it out there, or maybe before writing articles.
And I'm asking you, do you regret putting those that you put out there? Do you regret doing that?
Given that I picked information from sources that were already available, I do not regret. However, I do regret the insinuation of evil that people might have inferred from the compendium of information that I had put together.
Was it an inference people made, or that was really what you had said? Because the issues about who must have been involved in the death of the former president and all, it was not an insinuation, was it? It was just directly what you said.
Well, no, I didn't see it that way. Everybody has a right to see it the way they want to see it. There are many angles to stories, and from my point of view, I did not mean anything evil. There was no bad intention. And Samson, you know, you are a journalist. You're a seasoned lawyer as well. You know that with language, you cannot permeate limits, but you can expand them depending on how you make love to words and make love to language, and and that is how I did it. Unfortunately, some form of inference was made that did not go down well with some people, and based on that I apologize, and I don't mind doing that again.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Fadi.
Oh, by the way, I gave you a copy of the book. You were one of those, the very first who received a copy.
Yes,
of the book.
I have said that. I have said that publicly. That you gave me an autograph copy.
And that was in March, not last year.
Oh, that was in March. Okay, sorry.
Yes,
that was in March. Thank you.
Samson.
Thank you very much. Right.
Thanks to everybody.
And thanks for the compliments that you wrote in the book for me. Now, Nana, so some 2 minutes on KMA, so we can move on.
Yes, thank you, Samson. I don't know if it's because of simple partisan politics that you have this problem at KMA, because KMA is not the only district assembly that would seem to have a majority of opposition representatives, that's assemblymen, who can be classified as opposition. If indeed, there are many districts where you would find that many of the overwhelming majority of the assembly members may be classified as opposition. Kumasi may even be of a lesser extent, because Kumasi is a metropolis. In many of the districts which are not metropolises, you will see that the assembly members there would invariably belong to one political party or the other. So it would not entirely be politics, partisan politics. I believe KMA has a special problem. Dynamics between individuals and so on. And so before nominations for district chief, metropolitan chief executive and presiding members are done, the appointing authorities should do a lot more background consultation, because KMA seems to have a peculiar problem. This is not the first time that they've been haggling for a long time over presiding member. So there's a peculiar problem in KMA, which should tell the authorities that don't try to push your way through. Make sure, if you're going to spend a bit more time, to consult all the stakeholders, so that the name that you come up with is a name that has resulted from that consultation. Otherwise,
Thank you very much, Nana Akumia, and he's been very brief on that. We'll take a break here, and when we return, we are going to ask the questions that need to be asked about Siraj's verdict on the Ford expedition saga. Siraj says the president breached the policy on gifts, but he did not violate any law. We'll be right back.